When we transform and manipulate objects in 3ds Max, we need to understand coordinate systems. Now, a coordinate system is basically just a relative way of indicating where x, y, and z are oriented. So it's really just the orientation of those axes. Now, by default, we do have a world axis, but each object itself has its own internal axis. So when we manipulate, we need to be aware of how we're manipulating. In other words, along which coordinate system. Now, coordinate systems can be selected using this pull-down menu. We have a number of them. We have View, which is what we're on now, and that's kind of the default. But we also have some other important ones, such as World, Parent, and Local. Now, if I keep this on View and I select this object and go into Select and Move, you'll see that the X, Y, and Z axes are oriented in a certain way. So X, Y, and Z, I have Y pointing to my left, X is pointing away from me, and so on. Now if I change this to say local, notice how this changes. So in this object here, we notice how X is now pointing to the right and Y is pointing back. And that's because I've rotated the object. The object itself has its own coordinate system, and so when I rotate that object, the coordinate system moves with it. Now we can change two other ones as well. So, for example, world coordinate system is aligned to the coordinate systems of the entire world. And in this case, it's aligned also with the view. Now we can also define our own grids and work on those coordinate systems. We can also orient it to the screen coordinate system, which is a little bit different. Notice how this is always perpendicular to my screen. So no matter how I orbit my screen, the coordinate system always has Z facing me. I'm going to go ahead and put this on World. And now coordinate systems can also affect the way that we manipulate objects. So if I were to select all of these objects and do a select and rotate, notice how they all rotate around that common center. Now that common center is my view. If I change this to world, again, I'll get pretty much the same behavior. But if I change this to local, watch what happens. Each object now uses its own local coordinate system, and it's rotating around its own local center. So the different types of coordinate systems will affect how the objects are manipulated. So pay attention to how this is set and understand exactly what each coordinate system means. Understanding these can help you to manipulate and organize your objects much better in 3ds Max.